is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
First, Kim Jong-un leads an 80th anniversary Air Force celebration in Wonsan, unveiling a new military assets. In the US, President Donald Trump says there's a good chance for a Russia-Ukraine peace deal after talks in Florida. Still in Washington, Trump confirms a phone call with Venezuelan's Nicolas Maduro, with no details released. In Mexico, a blast and fire in Pesqueria leaves 3 dead and several injured as crews battle a gas leak. In the West Philippine Sea, the Philippines and Japan complete a new joint maritime activity, boosting defense cooperation. In Japan, Filipino supporters of former President Rodrigo Duterte holds a gathering outside Shinjuku Station. And in the Philippines, celebrities and thousands of Filipinos march at EDSA and Luneta to protest corruption. I'm Prince Tripoli. Newsline World starts now. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un led a grand celebration in Wonsan on Friday as the country marked the 80th founding anniversary of the Korean People's Air Force, highlighting its historic contribution and announcing new strategic military assets for the force. Joy Tabanao has the details.
On Friday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the founding of the Korean People's Air Force in Wonsan. According to a report from the Korean Central News Agency, Kim arrived at Kalma Airport and toured the facility with several officials. He then watched an acrobatic display by fighting jets before delivering a speech and attending an art performance as part of the celebration. In his message, Kim praised the Air Force for its historic contributions and emphasized its role in protecting Pyongyang's interests. He also announced that the force would receive new strategic military assets to strengthen the country's air defense. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
The trillion peso march wrapped up generally peaceful, as per the Philippine National Police. The nationwide gatherings, which ended early in the evening, drew more than 55,000 participants. Paul Montibon for the details.
The Philippine National Police reports that the trillion peso march held on November 30 concluded generally peaceful. The nationwide gatherings ended around 7 p.m. Acting PNP Chief Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. personally thanked organizers, marshals, and participants of the trillion peso march held Sunday. A total of 87 protest activities were monitored across the Philippines. In total, more than 55,000 individuals participated in the peaceful demonstrations. The PNP credited its successful security operations to the deployment of over 15,000 police personnel, including anti-riot units and medical assistance teams across various locations to ensure public order and safety. The trillion peso march is a nationwide protest movement calling out corruption and rising prices, drawing participation from church groups, civil society organizations, and various sectoral groups. According to the latest PNP report, no major incident was recorded during the demonstrations. Monitoring teams from the PNP Command Center kept real-time watch through CCTV and ground units stationed across Metro Manila. The Department of Interior and Local Government likewise reported no serious threats to public safety, citing effective coordination among key agencies, including the police. The PNP earlier expressed support for freedom of expression, and authorities say their security response from start to finish ensured orderly assemblies with no civilians harmed. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montibon, SMNI News.
Various groups from different sectors once again took to the streets to demand the resignation of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. following successive allegations of widespread corruption within the current administration. Almar Fusuelo reports.
The long-anticipated trillion peso march movement pushed through this week. The rally, organized by left-leaning groups, drew far fewer participants than expected, leaving Rizal Park in Manila only partially filled. According to the data from the Manila Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office, only around 3,000 individuals joined the rally at Luneta. By around noon, protesters began marching toward Bindiola, but thousands of police officers blocked their advance. Interior and Local Government Secretary John Vic Remulla said authorities would take all necessary measures to protect Malacanang.
We will always protect Malacanang.
Despite receiving harsh insults from protesters, Remulla said he accepts it as part of his job.
Sir, napipikuno ba kayo dun sa security?
Wala, kasama sa politika yan. Di ba? Kasama yan. Okay lang yan. Pero tao lang tayo. Pero so far, okay na sa akin. Nakita nyo, minumura ako kanina. Okay lang. Kasama yan.
Meanwhile, at the EDSA Shrine in Ortigas, various groups gathered to express frustration over what they described as rampant corruption in government. Former Presidential Anti-Corruption Commissioner and former TESDA consultant Attorney Manuelito Luna said they are frustrated by the slow pace of the investigation in the flood control scam, adding that authorities appear to be targeting only small fish despite witnesses and evidence naming big personalities.
Well, alam naman natin na kailangan dapat may managot at hindi tayo titigil hanggat yung mga big fish at saka mga masterminds ay mananagot. Kasi ang nangyayari ngayon, ang nakikita natin, mga small fish pa lang ang kinakasuhan, inimbestigahan. Kahit yung mga kongresista hindi pa nga kinasuhan eh. Although merong rekomendasyon ang ICI na sila ay tawagin at kasuhan din sa ombudsman, pero para sa amin hindi sapat yun eh.
He added that the sheer number of officials tagged in corruption cases, many of them elected by the public, makes it crucial for the government to act faster.
Sa dami nila, dapat mabilis yung proseso dahil kung dahan-dahan tayo, it will take a lifetime eh.
At Liwasang Bonifacio, other groups also gathered to call for the resignation of President Marcos Jr. Mussolini Lidasan of the Save the Philippines Coalition said their presence on the streets is necessary to expose government wrongdoing not only to the administration but also to ordinary Filipinos.
Una-una, kailangan natin iparating sa bawat mamamayan yung katiwalian na ginagawa ng gobyerno natin. Flood control, yung insertions at iba't ibang corruption na meron sa BBM administration.
Lidasan said they are not afraid of being jailed for calling on the president to resign.
Well, alam po natin na sa batas may freedom of speech. Ang ibang gobyerno nga, ang mga parliamentary form of government, kapag ang chief minister nawalan sila ng trust and confidence, pwede nilang tanggalin. Sa atin, pwede rin ganoon. Pwede natin patanggalin ang isang presidente na allegedly drug addict.
Afterward, Lidasan's group marched to Mindiola to continue their protest. By around 5 in the afternoon, demonstrators dispersed peacefully. The National Capital Region Police Office declared the series of protest actions generally peaceful, despite simultaneous rallies in multiple locations nationwide. For now, one thing remains clear. Many citizens say they will not stop taking to the streets until those responsible for the alleged misuse of public funds are held accountable. For God, my beloved Philippines, Almar Fusuelo, SMNI News.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines welcomed 638 newly commissioned officers during the joint graduation ceremony of the Major Services Officer Candidate course for calendar 2025, held at the Philippine Air Force Gymnasium in Villamor Air Base, Pasay City. The graduates come from the three major services of the AFP: the Philippine Air Force Kahimdalian Class 2025, the Philippine Navy Sagmaraya Class 2025, and the Philippine Navy Bumanawag Class 2025. Each officer completed the rigorous year-long officer candidate course, a program designed to prepare qualified civilians and enlisted personnel with baccalaureate degrees for commissioned service. Guest of Honor President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. attended the ceremony to formally commission the graduates, present awards to the top 4 achievers from each class, and hand diplomas to the class presidents. The addition of these new second lieutenants and and signs strengthens the AFP's roster of young leaders as they enter active duty across the country's major service branches. Malacanang welcomed the generally peaceful rallies held nationwide of the 30th of November, reiterating the administration's support for Filipinos' constitutional rights to free expression and peaceful assembly. Creslin Catarong reports.
Presidential Communications Secretary Dave Gomez said the government remains committed to safeguarding these democratic freedoms while also ensuring public order during demonstrations. He said the administration believes in freedom of expression and protects the people's right to peaceably assemble. The official added that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been closely monitoring protest actions held in Luneta, Mendiola, and at the EDSA People Power Monument on Sunday, where groups called for accountability over reported anomalies in flood control projects. While the palace respects citizens' right to protest, Gomez emphasized that security measures are necessary to keep gatherings safe. He noted that authorities may inspect rally participants wearing face coverings, not to restrict expression, but to prevent groups intending to sow disorder, citing past incidents. Gomez shared that the government has learned from September 21 rally when the Black Mask movement triggered unrest. Gomez stressed that verifying suspicious individuals is part of the police duty to maintain peace and order. He also assured that those questioned were not detained, only briefly assessed. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Creslin Catarong, SMNI News.
An explosion followed by a fire in Pesqueira, Nuevo Leon, Mexico, left 3 people dead and 6 others injured, authorities said, as firefighters worked to control the blaze in a gas leak in the residential neighborhood. Joy Tabanao reports.
An explosion followed by a fire occurred in the town of Pesqueria, Nuevo Leon, Mexico, leaving 3 people dead. The incident took place in a pyrotechnic storage facility at the Los Olmos neighborhood, where the fire brigade and civil protection worked together to extinguish the blaze and rescue victims, according to Eric Cavazos, Director of Civil Protection of Nuevo Leon. The explosion originated in a house where fireworks were being stored, causing a fire that spread to nearby homes.
Primer reporte empezaron a llegar reportes de explosiones en una casa habitación y obviamente lo que se empezó a ver hacia los lados eran pirotecnia o tipo como cohetes. Obviamente la onda expansiva dañó otras casas más. Hubo una fuga de gas en el cual hubo 2 de ellas, de esas tuberías que se prendieron.
6 people were reported injured, while 46 homes were affected, with 2 completely destroyed. In addition to local firefighters, teams from Guadalupe, Monterrey, and Cadereyta also joined the operation to put out the fire and control a gas leak in the surrounding houses. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed speaking by phone with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, but offered no details about the conversation. Jane Domingo tells us more.
U.S. President Donald Trump did not want to comment on the reported phone call between him and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, but acknowledged that it happened. Trump added he would not say whether the discussion went well or badly, calling it simply a phone call. He also downplayed speculations triggered by his post on social media, which warned that Venezuelan airspace should be considered close. He insisted the alert was not a signal of an imminent airstrike.
I don't read anything into it. I would say it went well. We consider Venezuela to be not a very friendly country. They send millions of people really in, probably a number in excess of that. And a lot of those people shouldn't be in our country.
In the post, Trump addressed airlines, pilots, drug traffickers, and human traffickers, instructing them to regard Venezuelan airspace as close in its entirety. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has separately warned major airlines of a potentially hazardous situation due to worsening security conditions and increased military activity in and around Venezuela. Amid rising tensions, the United States has deployed multiple warships to the Caribbean Sea, citing drug interdiction efforts. Venezuela has repeatedly accused Washington of using military pressure to push for regime change and expand its presence in Latin America. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jean Domingo, SB9 News.
U.S. President Donald Trump says there is a good chance of reaching a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine following high-level talks between U.S. and Ukrainian delegations in Florida. Valdivina Gracia will give us the details.
Speaking aboard Air Force One, U.S. President Donald Trump said discussions were going well. However, the corruption in Ukraine was making negotiations more difficult.
There's a good chance we can make a deal. We have a corruption situation going on, which is not helpful.
Trump said he had spoken with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Presidential Envoy Steve Witkoff. The president acknowledged Ukraine faces tough issues, but insisted Russia also wants the conflict to end. After roughly 4 hours of talks with the Ukrainian delegation, Rubio said the sides made additional progress on a revised peace plan, but stressed there was still more work ahead. Ukraine's lead negotiator Rustem Umerov described the discussions as difficult but productive, saying tangible headway had been made toward a just peace, though significant work remains. Reports say Witkoff and Jared Kushner joined Sunday's Florida talks and are due to fly to Moscow for further discussions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Umerov had briefed him on the constructive progress, adding that the coming days would be very important and that much can change. Zelensky also said he held separate phone calls with North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNI News.
More than 8 months have passed since former Philippine President Rodrigo Roa Duterte was taken into custody at The Hague in the Netherlands. Despite this, members of the Filipino community in Japan continue to demonstrate their support for the former leader. Last Saturday, they organized a gathering outside Shinjuku train station. Guy Saito has the details.
Despite the cold weather here in Tokyo, the presence and warmth of Filipinos who gathered in Shinjuku were evident. Participants expressed that regardless of the distance from The Hague, former President Duterte remains in their thoughts and concerns. It has been more than 8 months since former President Rodrigo Duterte was detained at The Hague on March 11th. RDPU Chairman Berwin D says the event was not merely a gathering, but part of the two ongoing efforts aimed at seeking what they describe as justice, compassion, and humane treatment for the former president. On November 26th, Japanese Senator Yamada received and signed the group's appeal. On the same day, the humanitarian and medical appeal was formally accepted by the House of Councillors of the Japan Parliament. The appeal requests that Duterte be permitted to undergo medical care in Japan, citing the country's advanced healthcare system and its traditionally high regard for elder care. However, on November 28th, the International Criminal Court denied the request for interim release, drawing various reactions from members of the Filipino community in Japan.
Aking naging reaction po ay unang-una masama sa loob. Kaya masakit man sa puso ko na makita at malaman na ganon ang magiging desisyon. Pang-ilang interim release na panawagan na natin ito sa likod ng kanyang napakahina ng katawan at 80 years old. Only the president, by the call of one president, it could stop there.
Ang reaksyon ko po kahapon para akong may matay sa sama ng loob at sakit ng ulo yung positive ang expectation ko tapos na-deny. Siyempre nalulungkot dahil siyempre bilang taga Davao at supporter ni Tatay Digong, kilala at alam ko po ang mayor namin ay mabuting tao at gumawa ng kagandahan sa ating bansa. 80 years old na po yung tao, wala ba kayong magulang? Hindi ba kayo marunong maawa?
Sobrang na-disappoint, sobrang nasaktan kasi inaasahan namin na mabigyan siya ng interim release dahil hindi naman siya tatakas. So, sa edad niyang yan, tsaka may mga nararamdaman na siya, kailangan niya talagang ilabas mapauwi sa Pilipinas o kahit man dito sa Japan para mapagamot man lang siya. Sobra talaga akong na-shock.
Filipino workers who took part in the activity also shared messages for the current administration and for the Filipino people.
Sobrang gulong-gulo ng Pilipinas. Alam natin, hindi natin, again, sinasabi ko lagi sa mga interviews, hindi natin kailangan ng mga statistics. Anybody can know by just like going to the streets. Alam natin ngayon, lahat ng mga tao intimidated din naman sa mga drug addicts. With that alone, sobrang lubog na yung Pilipinas. Ang nalalaman natin na kulang yung leadership ni PBBM. I believe na si PBBM mabait namang tao eh. But it does not take only nakabaitan to manage a government, especially Philippines, na kailangan pang itaas. So PBBM, if you love the country, if you want to save the name of your family, mag-resign ka na. Enjoy your time kasi mayaman ka na eh. Huwag ka nang magpapadala diyan sa mga taong nagsasalita sa iyo at the back na parang ginagamit ka lang nila.
Di ba sabi mo, Marcos, mahiya naman kayo? Ikaw, hindi ka ba nahihiya? Pinabababa ka na ng mga tao. Dahil sa'yo, pinatay mo yung mga tao sa Cebu, sa Bulacan. Dahil sa pagdanakaw mo sa flood control, pinatay mo lahat ng mga tao na lurod sa baha. Kasi kung ikaw pinuno na matino, hindi ka gagayahin ng mga alipores mo, ng mga staff mo. Hindi ka matino, nakita nila pagdanakaw mo. Kaya sila rin nagnakaw. Ikaw ang salamin, ikaw ang father ng Pilipinas.
Organizers say they will continue encouraging Filipinos to stand united and engaged in national issues.
Sa kapwa ko Pilipino, saan man kayo sa mundo, ipagpatuloy nating ipaglaban ang Pilipinas. Huwag tayong mawalan ng pag-asa dahil one of these days, sabi na nga ni VP Sara Duterte, there is a day of reckoning. So yun ng oras na yon, maniningal tayong lahat. Kaya lalaban tayo, patuloy tayong tumayo para sa Pilipinas, ipagtaguyod natin ang bansang Pilipinas.
Although the request for former President Duterte's interim release was not granted, supporters here remain hopeful that a resolution they deem fair and just will eventually be reached. Reporting from Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan, this is Mingay Saito, your global citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Vanessa Hudgens and husband Cole Tucker welcomed their second child on Saturday, with the actress calling the experience a wild ride in an Instagram post. Meanwhile, thousands of Filipinos joined by beauty queens, actors and musicians took to the streets to protest rampant corruption and call for government accountability, with rallies held at EDSA's People Power Monument and Luneta. On Saturday, Vanessa Hudgens, known for High School Musical in hits like Sneaker Night and Come Back to Me, announced the arrival of her second child in an Instagram post, describing the labor as a wild ride. The photo shows the actress lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to monitors while holding hands with her husband, Cole Tucker, a former professional basketball player for the Los Angeles Angels. Meanwhile, on Sunday, thousands of Filipinos once again came together with prominent personalities to protest against the rampant corruption currently affecting the country. Among those who joined were beauty queens, actors, and well-known musicians. Miss Universe 2018 Catriona Gray called on the Ombudsman to file cases against the implicated government officials and urged the Senate and Congress to pass the anti-dynasty bill. Co-hosting the program held at the People Power Monument in EDSA were Miss Earth Philippines 2025, Joy Barcoma, and Pokwa. In sports, Gilas Pilipinas returns home court duty as they face Guam once again, this time with the court behind them, after a dominant win on the road. Meanwhile, Bath Rugby surged the top of the Premiership table after the dramatic late try sealed a hard-fought victory over Saracens. Let's find out more about these stories with Elmar Forsuelo.
Gilas Pilipinas gears up for its second showdown with Guam tonight, just days after a commanding 87-46 victory on the road, where the Nationals also tallied a record 61 rebounds at the Calvo Fieldhouse. Despite the dominant performance, head coach Tim Cone remains cautious, stressing the challenge of avoiding complacency in home and away series. Cone notes that after a big win, teams often relax, and he expects Guam to arrive in Manila determined and highly motivated to bounce back. This time, however, Gilas will enjoy a major boost, the home crowd. The rematch will be played at the newly renovated Blue Eagle Gym inside the Ateneo campus, marking the Nationals' second home appearance of the year. Fans are set for a treat as Gilas also defends its unbeaten home streak dating back to last year's FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers, where they swept Hong Kong, Chinese Taipei, and New Zealand. The team's aims to keep the run alive against Jericho Cruz and the rest of the Guam squad. Meanwhile, Bath climbed 3 points clear at the top of the standings after rallying with 19 unanswered points to overturn a big deficit and defeat Saracens in a high-intensity showdown. The defending champions meanwhile slipped to 6th after failing to hold on in the final minutes. Saracens led 19-10 at the break behind 2 tries from Max Malins and 1 from Juan Martin Gonzalez, overpowering Bath early as Lucio Chinti and Malins struck just 3 minutes into the match. Gonzalez later extended the advantage after a sharp break initiated by Owen Farrell and Ben Earl, but Bath clawed back quickly, with Finn Russell knocking in a penalty before Henry Arundel intercepted and sprinted the length of the field from his own 22 to cut the gap. The home side rebuilt momentum as Malins added his second try, followed by a Farrell drop goal for a 22-10 cushion. Bath kept coming. Thomas Dutoit muscled over before halftime, and after the restart, Will Butt dived into the corner to trim the deficit further. Moments later, Russell sparked a flowing move that saw Arundel's kick free Ben Spencer, with Arthur Green finishing for Bath's 4th try and the bonus point. Saracens responded as Gonzalez powered in his second to level the match at 29-29 after a spell of relentless pressure, setting up a thrilling final stretch. With 7 minutes remaining, Elliot Daly missed a long-range penalty, opening the door for Bath. Max Ojomo burst through the defense and offloaded to Arundel, who sealed the decisive try in the dying minutes to complete Bath's comeback win. Bath now sit atop the league after 6 rounds, while Saracens face more questions following another late collapse. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Almar Forsuelo, bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Winning and losing begin in the mind, and your mind is the womb of your faith. And as we keep track of the countdown, there's only 24 days left before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Prince Tripoli. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.